officer. In the latest, we can tell our viewers that an ex-CIA officer has said that the United States had expected India to strike Pakistan post-26/11. They also believe that India was well within its right to strike Pakistan after the 26/11 terror attack in Mumbai that left hundreds of people dead. But India did not. So here comes another revelation talking about how back then, under the UPA government, after the 26/11 terror attack, how even world powers expected India to strike back, India to hit out at Pakistan, because India was well in its right, as hundreds were massacred on the streets of Mumbai by Pakistani terrorists. But despite that, they expected a strike, but it did not happen. Let me go across to my colleague Bhavtosh, who's joining us on this broadcast. Bhavtosh, only recently it was the former Home Minister and former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram who had said he was in favor of a retaliation, but somehow that did not happen. And now comes another revelation from a former CIA officer who says that they expected India to strike back, but that never happened. What more do you know? What are the latest updates?
As far as these two attacks are concerned, Sagarika, the fact remains these two attacks were the most drastically terror attack that India has seen. First was the parliament attack, and in which the terrorists from Jaish-e-Mohammed tried entering inside the parliament, though all of them were gunned down. And the second one lasted for nearly 59 hours in Mumbai. And these two attacks, the CIA said that they were expecting India to strike back. In fact, in Parliament attack, he said that all the staff members of American embassy were in fact asked to go, but that did not happen. And as far as the 26/11 is concerned, which is considered to be at par with 9/11, they were expecting that India will be striking back very soon. But again, India, quote unquote, showed strategic patience. Whether it was strategic patience or failure on part of India's then government is something that only UPA government can answer. But as you rightly said, that Chidambaram also raised a question mark as to why no action was taken against Pakistan. He in fact said that there was in fact a nuclear blackmail bluff that was being carried out by Pakistan. But the recent strike by India, Operation Sindoor, clearly shows that such blackmail do not work, and even the Prime Minister has said so, that Pakistan will be arranged if any terror attack takes place.
All right. Thank you, Bhavtosh, for putting that story into perspective. Let's now listen into what John Kiriakou, former CIA officer, has to say. He has revealed that how they expected India to strike Pakistan because India was well within its right to do so post 26/11, but that never happened. Let's play that out.
The first half of my career was in analysis. The second half was in counterterrorism operations. And in 2007, I blew the whistle on the CIA's torture program in a nationally televised interview here in the United States. I said that the CIA was torturing its prisoners. I said that torture was official U.S. government policy. And I said that the policy had been personally approved by the president. The Obama administration excuse me, in the form of John Brennan, went after me, and they pursued criminal charges. I was indicted on 5 felony charges, including 3 counts of espionage for saying that the CIA was torturing its prisoners. Of course, I hadn't committed espionage. And those charges were dropped, but I ended up serving 23 months.
We'll play out more excerpts of the ex-CIA officer's revelations, but let me go across to National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Shehzad Poonawala. Shehzad, right now there is a revelation made by a former CIA officer about how they expected India to strike Pakistan after 26/11, but that never happened. Not the first time. Recently it was P. Chidambaram who said that he was in favor of retaliation, but it never happened.
Everybody in India was expecting, the armed forces were expecting. You would remember Fali Major, who had spoken to Times Now at that time, who said that he was expecting that India would give a befitting response because Pakistan was doing terror attacks after terror attacks. And 26/11 was the biggest one, but there were at least 10 series of attacks in which thousands of Indians were killed and slaughtered. But instead of taking strong action, we gave most favored nation status to Pakistan. We went and said that Baluchistan mein hum atank kar rahe hain, and we said Pakistan is a victim of terror, not the perpetrator perpetrator of terror. And therefore, this is the change that has taken place between the Manmohan Singh, Sonia Gandhi-led government, which used to give Pakistan a clean sheet and a soft handle on terror, to now when we do surgical strike, Balakot airstrike, and we do the Operation Sindoor. But one more thing is important. Now that Chidambaram has also said that there was some international pressures that led Sonia Gandhi to stop the Indian government from taking action on Pakistan. And now the CIA person also is saying that there was expectation that India would act. Who were those forces? What were those forces that Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh at that time did not take action, and they overruled even Mr. Fali Major? This disclosure needs to be made by either Sonia Gandhi or Manmohan Singh. Now, Manmohan Singh is not there. So Sonia Gandhi must come out and tell us that for what considerations was the appropriate action not taken on Pakistan after 26/11.
Thank you, Mr. Poonawalla, for joining us on this broadcast. And this is not the first time, viewers. We have multiple voices in the past also, and very recently it was P. Chidambaram who made a mention of how he was in favor of a retaliation, but then somebody in the system decided not to go ahead. Now let's tell you about who spoke about how Congress did not strike. These are voices from the armed forces. Let's tell you about what B.S. Dhanoa, the former IF chief, said in the past. He said that the government rejected the IF's proposal to strike Pakistan post 26/11. Then the Air Force was ready. The Congress government said, we will let you know. This was a revelation made by former Air Chief Marshal, Fali Major. And then you also have another such comment that came in from Congress's Manish Tiwari. Manish Tiwari said in the past that India should have actioned a kinetic response post 26/11. Then there were more voices also. In fact, it was former US President Barack Obama who also said that Manmohan Singh resisted calls to retaliate against Pakistan. And then there were also voices back then in the UPA itself, like Shiv Shankar Menon, who was the ex-foreign secretary. He also said that Pakistan had crossed a line and action should have been stronger. And now comes another revelation by a former CIA officer. Then it was only recently the Prime Minister Narendra Modi also had, latched on to the revelations made by P. Chidambaram, where he questioned the Congress party on what the BJP calls the surrender of the UPA government. And now they are asking, on whose behest or under whose pressure did the Congress back in the day decide to not act against Pakistan? The Prime Minister recently asked. A former Home Minister spoke on the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, he said. He said that the former Home Minister said that forces were stopped from retaliating. He also mentioned that the former Home Minister said that they were stopped due to foreign pressure. The Congress government at the time stopped our forces. That is what the Prime Minister said while he was putting the Congress on the mat. Then he also said that the Congress needs to tell the entire world who took that decision. This was in response to what P. Chidambaram said recently. P. Chidambaram recently revealed that he was inclined towards retaliating against Pakistan. But then the government back then exercised restraint after 26/11. That there was also pressure not to start a war. He mentioned about how a former US Secretary of State urged India to hold back. He also spoke about how US had urged India not to take any military action. With that, it's time for us to slip into a short commercial break. We'll be back with more news and updates. Stay